All right. Good afternoon, everyone, at least to those of you who are in the Eastern time zone with me. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. Today's topic is sponsors, advertisers, and affiliates. And if you have questions as we go, feel free to use the Q&A box to drop those in. I may answer some questions if they pertain to the topic at that moment, or I may save them for the end. We should have plenty of time at the end for questions. Now, before we get too far, I do want to add a big caveat here. Should you listen to me on the topic of sponsors, advertisers, and affiliates? And the reason I raised this kind of funny question at the opening is because a very tiny percentage of my overall income is derived from advertising or sponsors or affiliate marketing. It actually was a bigger percentage in the past. It's been as high as maybe 4 or 5% of my overall income. That would probably be around, I don't know, at some point, $10,000 to $15,000 per year. These days, it's a very, very small percentage of my overall income because I haven't been emphasizing it. But I know it's a growing area of interest for writers, especially those who are thinking about how to get sponsors or ads, maybe for their email newsletters. This is which are experiencing a resurgence of popularity. So just keep in mind, although I have lots of experience and knowledge and industry knowledge about this topic, I don't actively make money in this way, but maybe some of the things I have to share are going to be useful to you. So first, I want to share a few definitions so we're clear on what I'm talking about as we go through. I consider advertising to be getting money to place a specific advertisement somewhere. Usually advertising is more outcome driven. So you're looking to see very specific results from an ad, like you might be looking for clicks, purchases, leads. Usually you're measuring the success of that ad. Sponsorships are very much like advertising, but they can be what I call a softer form of advertising. Sometimes sponsors are more interested in the association with your name or your brand or your organization. They may want to offer community support, giving you money to support, your mission, to be a good partner. There are lots of motivations for sponsors. Think about the NPR or PBS model where they have sponsors rather than ads. It's kind of like, if you ever watched Downton Abbey, how Viking Cruises was the sponsor every time. It was not necessarily selling you on a cruise, but it was definitely putting that idea in your head that they might be an interesting cruise line to look up if you want to take a river cruise. And then finally, affiliate marketing works in two directions. You can either be an affiliate marketer and earn money, or you can offer an affiliate marketing program. We're going to talk about both of those this afternoon. With affiliate marketing, you're essentially earning a cut of sales you help generate, but they're not sales for yourself. They're someone else's products or books, or retail environment is getting the sale and you get a kickback. So my background in this topic comes from traditional magazine publishing. I was the publisher of Writer's Digest magazine in the late aughts. And, I managed the budget and projections for the advertising that we had in the print magazine, on the website, in the email newsletters. We also accepted dedicated email blasts, which is a terrible term, but it basically means when someone would pay us to email our entire list with just their dedicated message. It was a very profitable part of the advertising business. We also did some dedicated webinars where we would run a class that was specifically for the advertiser, so that we would try to drum up registrations on their behalf by hitting our list. And it was usually a promotional webinar. And then there were also conference sponsors. So people who sponsored the annual Writer's Digest conference and got their brand associated with our brand in the program and in the billing, and got their name announced before the keynote speaker. I'm sure if you've been to a writing conference, you've seen these sorts of sponsorship placements. So that's my experience with the scene. And that's like where I saw the biggest money in terms of advertising was working with Writer's Digest. It wasn't through my own business, but it gave me a really good education in what advertisers look for, what they're willing to pay, what sort of benefits that they want out of the relationship. Now, for my own site today, which is primarily janefriedman.com, I do not accept advertising. I've in fact never had traditional advertising of any kind at my site, mainly because I just haven't had the interest. And I feel like it can interfere with some of my bigger goals of being disinterested in recommending specific services. However, you're going to see my evolution here during this presentation of where I accept ads and where I don't. So my site, for those who don't know, that launched in late 2009. So it's in its 12th year now, and it's always been pretty much ad-free with some exceptions I'll talk about. However, I am an affiliate marketer, and the biggest affiliate marketing program, at least in the United States, is run by Amazon. So, some of you inside the book industry may be quite familiar with the Amazon affiliate program, although it works across all sorts of industries. You can be an affiliate, Amazon affiliate, and sell just about anything that's on their site and earn a kickback from it. So to give you an example of what this looks like, this will be probably very eye-opening to those of you who aren't familiar with affiliate marketing. What I'm showing you right here is a screenshot of a report that I received from Amazon, since I'm an Amazon affiliate marketer. When I link to Amazon, I have a unique tracking link that tells Amazon I have sent them a customer to a very specific product. And if that customer purchases that product after visiting it from my link, I get a percentage of the sale. I think it used to be a 48-hour rule. I don't know if that's still in effect, but if the person bought it within 48 hours of visiting Amazon from my link, I would get credit for the sale. Now, my site, I'm sure many of you know, is focused on writing and books. And when I link to Amazon, it's almost always for a book. Like 99.9% of the time. It's really rare that I would link to Amazon for any other type of product. But you'll notice here what I'm getting affiliate commissions for include a variety of products. Right now, you're seeing two categories. You're seeing beauty and books. It's in alphabetical order. And you'll see that I'm getting affiliate commissions off of essential oils and pheromones for men and a curling iron and an age correction liquid. I did not link to any of these products, but what happens with Amazon affiliates, what makes the program so attractive to people is that if people end up buying other things along the way, like if they end up buying that book and then also that thing that was in their cart anyway, you get credit for the entirety of the purchase, not just the product that you link to. So, in fact, it's the other products that are really profitable for the most part. It's not really the books as much. So it's one of the weirdest business things I've ever experienced to earn money on all these sorts of products, everything from cat food to computers, to clothing, to beauty products. Now, this affiliate marketing program still, it is active, it's running. You can become an Amazon affiliate if you wish. But these days, as someone in the book community, when I link to books, I've started linking to Bookshop, which is basically the alternative to buying your books online, alternative to Amazon, the virtuous alternative. And a portion of the proceeds from Bookshop go to support independent booksellers. So this is, for many, a more ethical alternative than linking to Amazon. And so for my books, anytime I mention books now, I link to Bookshop. If it's an ebook, I often still link to Amazon because Bookshop's ebook sales are a little iffy. Anyway, this is what you're seeing right now is an affiliate report from my Bookshop account showing you the commissions. Anyone can become a Bookshop affiliate, just like pretty much anyone can become an Amazon affiliate. All it really requires is an email address and then linking up like an account where they can pay you, make the deposits every month or so. And the affiliate linking is very straightforward. So, this isn't rocket science. Once you sign up as an affiliate, you'll get your affiliate link. And whenever you link to books, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or your email newsletter or your website or blog, you use your affiliate link everywhere, and then you potentially get credit if a purchase is made. Now, if you are an affiliate marketer, you ought to be disclosing that. Now, because it's the law. But I want to add the caveat that this law, it's really for people who are making a living, like thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars being affiliates, and where it's really important that they disclose that their living is earned off of selling these products. So when you look at influencer marketing, for example, where people with huge followings, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people following them for their recommendations, it's really important for those people to disclose the fact that they're affiliate marketers and that they have a financial interest in recommending this product. I think, certainly you should disclose that you're an affiliate marketer for Amazon. If you're a book blogger or if you're actively linking to books on Amazon, you want to disclose that in your privacy policy or at the, in the fine print at the end of articles or posts. I don't think you necessarily have to mention it every single time you have an affiliate link for something like a book. But if you wanted to be hyper vigilant, you could certainly do that. There are lots of examples online of the sorts of disclosures you can use. I've got an example up here on the screen from the Smart Passive Income blog. But the more money you stand to make off of recommending something, I think the more imperative it is that you make it clear that you have a financial interest in what's happening. I see that Millie is having trouble with the audio. I wish I could help you, Millie. And you can't hear me say that I wish I could help you. But this is, hopefully you'll get the recording. If any of you are also having trouble, the recording will be available afterward. All right. So I said that my site doesn't accept advertising. There was, however, a brief period where I participated in something called native advertising. Now, native advertising it's not as popular as it used to be. This was a really hot concept, like in the early 2010s, and I think it's really dropped off in consideration as a moneymaker. BuzzFeed was doing a lot of native advertising. I'm sure they still have some amount of it, but it's not as popular as it used to be. In any event, back in 2013, this is when I participated in the native advertising phenomenon by having a partnership with Barnes & Noble's Nook Press. So at the time, Nook was trying to compete with Amazon KDP. And they were having a tough time of it, and they were looking for places they could spread the word about the success that authors were having on the Nook platform. And so they approached me about doing something. I didn't accept ads, but they said, well, what if we have some of our most successful authors write guest posts for you and talk about their success with Nook, and we won't mention Amazon in these posts. And we'll mention Nook at the end and link to their services at the end. And I said, that sounds great. Now, I could have demanded payment for that, but what we ended up doing is paying the authors for writing their contributions. So I felt like that felt like a better outcome to me, because I wasn't paying blog contributors at the time. I still don't. And so I like the idea that they would get paid for the time they took to write these posts for my site. And I was happy to have the partnership with Nook and show people what's possible outside of the Amazon environment. Okay, give me just a second. I need to adjust something here in the settings. Hold on for just a moment. Okay. The other thing that I did was to support one of my columnists, Porter Anderson, who for a couple years wrote the Writing on the Ether column. And again, I don't pay contributors to my site, and I wasn't paying him either. But we started getting interest from people who wondered if they could pay to sponsor the column and have their book or whatever appear at the beginning and at the end. And so when someone proactively reaches out to you asking, how can I advertise? That's a really good sign that, maybe you should be thinking about offering advertising. I didn't want to do like a straight ad deal. I like the idea more of a sponsorship. So that's how we termed it. And, people did it for usually for like a month. They would sponsor the column for a month. It came out every week. And it worked because people really wanted to support this column. Uh, I gave the money right to Porter for all of his work on it. But I have to admit, full transparency, I know what the clicks were on these sponsors, like how many people clicked on the book and, went to check it out. And the clicks were tiny. So it wasn't necessarily, I think, helping people sell books. It was mainly authors advertising books. But it was just, the writing on the Ether column was an industry column, news trends in the book publishing industry. And so people advertising their fiction or poetry against it, while I appreciated their support, it wasn't necessarily helping them sell more books because it was a mismatched goal and audience. And one of the reasons, let me go back for a minute. One of the reasons I bring this up is because if you want to have a sustainable advertising or sponsorship program, there has to be a pretty good fit, right, between whoever's paying to appear on your site or in your email or whatever, and the audience. Without that fit, your sponsor advertiser isn't going to see the results they want, and then they're going to go away. So you have to be able to marry the two really well in order to have that recurring business. So to pull back, and talk a little bit about what a lot of people do for website, blog, and email newsletter advertising. Well, website and blog to start with. The most common option that people use is Google AdSense because it's an automated system. So, you can sign up for Google AdSense and then designate certain areas of your site where Google will pop in an ad based on what they know about the visitor or what they know about your site. And these ads can appear visually, they can be text-based, they can be at the top, on the side, in the text. These ads have become less effective over time, partly because of ad blockers on browsers. So, if you use really any browser, there's the ability to block the ads. And this is, of course, depressed ad revenue for any number of publications. I can't remember when the ad blockers became really prevalent, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but everyone started to see their advertising revenue drop from AdSense when it became really widespread. And you started getting pleas please turn your ad blocker off so that we can earn money to keep the site going. And there are still those sorts of calls out there. Now, here's the interesting thing, though. Those ad blockers, because they know what Google AdSense placements look like, and that's why they are so effectively blocked. But if you're placing ads manually, like as an image, ad blockers don't necessarily know if an image on your site is an ad or not, unless there's some metadata or description around it that says, this is an ad, block me. So for ads that are placed in a more handcrafted way, they're not going to get blocked by these ad blocker plugins. So for example, Writer Unboxed is a writing community site you may be familiar with. They accept display ads on their site. Usually you find one running along the column on the left. And I think this works and can get around some ad blockers because it's, they've probably got a limited number of advertisers. It's not really high churn, meaning they've got one sponsor or advertiser every month or every week. They're handcrafting that placement, changing it in and out manually, and that offers you more safety in terms of preserving your ad revenue because it's not as easily blocked. It's also in niche readership, and this is a site that gets really decent traffic if you're trying to reach writers. Switching gears here to email newsletter ads. Funds for Writers is one of the more successful newsletters I'm aware of that carries advertising as far as over many years. So this is a program that has developed, I don't know, maybe over a decade. It's a newsletter run by Hope Clark. And it's a wonderful newsletter and program that she runs, and it works because it's a very highly focused audience. Advertisers know exactly who they're hitting when they advertise here. It's very stable and consistent brand and newsletter. It's, it goes out like clockwork. And it's also very affordable and accessible for just about any type of advertiser. So if you're curious about how she set this up, I recommend going to fundsforwriters.com. You can check out the advertising tab on her site, subscribe to the free version of her newsletter, and you'll learn a lot just by watching how that plays out. Bo Sachs is one of my longtime colleagues in the publishing industry. He might even be listening somewhere. Hello, Bo, if you are. So I've been subscribing to his newsletter since 2001. And during that time, he runs this based on an advertising model. And so you'll see the ads at the very beginning of the newsletter and also along the side. So here in one of his most recent issues, you can see there's a ad at the top for the Media Growth Summit happening in October. One of the reasons this works for him is because before he launched, when he launched this newsletter, he was in the magazine production industry in New York. He knew a lot of people. And then when he went full-time freelance or independent, he had all these relationships to draw on. He already had people who were familiar with his name and his brand, and it's equated with trust and expertise. And he has this really great industry business to business reach in magazines that's hard for other people to duplicate or match. So, he's been doing this, as you can see in his newsletter headline here, he's been doing this since 1993 and been carrying advertising for all that time. So he's one of the original email newsletter people, maybe the first. Ann Friedman is another early adopter of the email newsletter advertising channel. I think her newsletter was started around 2014, 2015. Her newsletter ad model is a little different, especially if you compare it to Bo's. Bo's got pretty big companies, at least to my mind, pretty big companies who are placing ads for, it could be months, or even like he's had clients who advertise with him for years. And Friedman has low-cost classifieds that run at the end of her newsletter. Everyone in, kind of her little neck of the woods, which is, culture and media news, everyone knows her and trusts her. And she's using the classifieds almost as a community bulletin board. And just about anyone can probably afford a classified, and they get booked up very quickly. Many people like her who read her newsletter have duplicated this model in their own newsletters, running classifieds somewhere, usually toward the end. So that brings me to my own newsletter. I have several, so I'll talk about them separately. First, the paid newsletter that I run, the Hot Sheet, has had a sponsor. On occasion. It was mostly in the early days of the newsletter, as I was just getting it started with my business partner at the time, Porter Anderson, who I mentioned earlier. We were able to get a sponsor on board very early, like within the first year, Ingram Spark. And that was partly because we had an established relationship with Ingram. They trusted us, and they wanted to support what we were doing, and they wanted to reach the audience that we were attempting to establish, professional authors who are interested in self-publishing. It also has a traditional publishing audience. So they stuck with us for a year, and then we parted ways because, ultimately this newsletter wasn't reaching as many people as Ingram wants to reach. Because it's a paid newsletter, it's a very small subscribership. At the time, we were around 1,000 subscribers. Now, Ingram advertises in my free newsletter, which reaches many, 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 many more people. So that brings me to Electric Speed. So that's my free newsletter. And I started with the classifieds model myself in 2019. I started with a bit of trepidation because having been ad-free for so long, I knew that I might get a negative reaction from some people for carrying ads. But the amount of negative feedback I got was minuscule compared to the people who thought it was a great idea. I moved to a mix of sponsors and classifieds in 2020, and then I moved to all sponsors in 2021. And the main reason driving that is basically workflow. It's just so much easier to manage one sponsor per issue than, 5 6, 7 different classified advertisers in a single issue. So you too might run up against some of this. And I had a subscriber base that was big enough to attract people who had the money to spend the sponsor rate instead of the classifieds rate. So you have to take into account who you might attract to place the ads. But if you wanted to be more democratic and accessible, then keeping the classifieds is something I would recommend. Now in 2022, I should go back and just mention for a second, I sold out my 2021 sponsor slots by like before it was even 2021. Like almost every slot was full going into that year, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions. I think the last slot to sell was December 25th. I think there might be an issue coming out Christmas weekend or around that time. But even that sold like 2 months ago. So it's that told me one big thing, which was I was underpricing. So for that reason, I increased the prices. And before I show you kind of that little screenshot, I was doing this on a very kind of ad hoc basis. It was just like, hey, if you want to advertise, email me. There was no formal package or level, or like there was no marketing copy for this. It was just like, reach out if you're interested, and people were. So I was really testing the waters to see what the market was interested in, and I got my answer. So that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to be a little more formal now about this. Email is now a really big deal for advertising. Like it's, because it's the hot new area, I thought I'm going to formalize this and see if I can do better. So I created an actual media kit that showed the different advertising or sponsorship vehicles that I have, with 2 different sponsor levels, including some other mentions, like I'll tweet or mention people in the Sunday sermon if they're a sponsor. So far, no one has purchased anything for 2022. So this may be where I run up against my limits of being an attractive place for people to advertise, because I've raised my rates too high. Now this did come out, oh gosh, I want to say August 1. So we're still a little ways from 2022, and we'll see what happens. But since it's such a small percentage of my overall revenue, it's not like I'm not going to be that sorry if it crashes and burns, because part of me is just curious to see where it goes and what happens when I make these changes. All right. So I'm going to end with a few words about starting your own affiliate program, which I've resisted for years now. And I've finally figured out the tech side, which is not insignificant, I have to say. And I've started an affiliate program for the Hot Sheet, my paid newsletter, because that's something I would really like to invest more in from a marketing perspective. I want more people to be incentivized to talk about it and to mention it, especially subscribers of Hot Sheet. I want them to be the evangelists for that product. And I've also had people ask me for years now, like 5 years, do you have an affiliate program? Can I be an affiliate? And I'm like, I wish you could, but I didn't want to invest in the technology. And by technology, I mean, you need to have a third party tracking, what business affiliates are sending you, and then you have to pay them on a regular basis. And there's a lot of administrative work wrapped up in this. And so you have to be really interested, in having people talk about your stuff. And then you have to see results from people talking about your stuff. And the money has to be significant enough for you to put in all of this time and energy from the tech side, and then from just communicating with your affiliates. In any event, I'm still very early in this process. I launched this program a couple months ago. The technology I'm using is called Lead Dino, because it was just the easiest to set up with how I run Hot Sheet subscribers. And so now my subscribers can become an affiliate. And if they are able to bring me a new subscriber at full price, they get $15 for each subscriber. So it's not a bad little piece of earnings. But of course, they would have to refer me many, many, many subscribers for it to be, more than a few cups of coffee a month, right? But still, if it doesn't hurt to have the people who already believe in the product, give them a little nudge to talk about it more often. But still, people aren't going to talk about it just because they're an affiliate. And I think this is the big thing you have to consider. You have to communicate with your affiliates and give them marketing materials and remind them of what's going on, and how they can, tweet about it or share about it on Instagram, or, there are all sorts of actions that go into being a good affiliate, and you have to encourage those actions. All right. So I'm just going to pause right there, and I'm going to check the chat and also the questions on Facebook. This is all of the formal comments that I wanted to make about advertising, sponsorships, and affiliates. So now I open it up to Q&A. There aren't any in the Q&A box yet here in Zoom, so go ahead and get those questions in if you have them. I'm going to check the chat here. Let's see. Anita is asking if you should have an affiliate link to Amazon and Bookshop. I think it's a personal choice. I think Bookshop is really good at selling print books, in my opinion. So I link to them for the print edition. I link to Amazon for the ebook edition. You can provide both. There's a popular newsletter writer or blogger, Maria Popova, who I think last time I checked, she would have an Amazon link and a library link, and maybe she now links to Bookshop. I'm not sure, but it's fine to have more links if you're willing to do the work. Amazon and Bookshop aren't the only affiliate programs out there. So you can look for others. I don't know if Barnes and Noble has one, but there are so many affiliate programs. You might be able to find more, and you can use your affiliate link with them as well. Sonia asks if I'm going to be telling you how Google AdSense and how it works. I'm afraid not, because I don't use it myself. So just to go back to the Google AdSense slide while I'm talking about that a little bit, my impression is that what you'll probably do is have some sort of plugin for your site. Like if it's a WordPress site, you might have like a Google AdSense plugin, or you might have some coding somewhere in the site, or you might have a theme that's built to work really well with advertising, with certain areas devoted to these advertising blocks that are filled by Google. And then I can't remember I think you might expect like $1 a month for every 1,000 visits you've got. So like, let's say you have 50,000 visits a month, you might get $50 a month in AdSense revenue. I'm just guessing here. Like I could be totally off base, but I feel like that's an estimate I heard at one point. And to me, well, first of all, I'm not a huge fan of site advertising anyway. There are other things I would like to do on my site than show a Google ad. So for me, it's too few pennies, and I just don't like having ads on my site, but I will put them in a newsletter. I don't know if I can describe the difference in my head on that, but in any event, there are so many articles out there about using Google AdSense, so they're far better experts than me to learn from on how to maximize that. Just be aware that site ads can be really limiting in terms of their effectiveness unless you're doing the sort of writer unboxed model that I discussed, where the ads are super targeted to the audience that they reach. That I think, and that's more, I think, attainable and achievable for most people who are like me. So this is where if you're a blogger or you're focused on a very particular industry or topic, I know Carol has joined us and she's a gardener. So like if she were going to accept ads or sponsors related to gardeners, like certain soils or plants or, gloves, that would make more sense to me than just using Google AdSense. All right. Cecilia says, is it possible that my ad package, although it looks more professional, actually worked against you when it was your personal connection to advertisers that was closing the sale? Well, I haven't changed how I tell people advertising is available. So it's not something I'm talking about publicly, although unless you count this as public, I only mention it in the newsletter itself. So unless you're a subscriber, you're not even going to know about the opportunities. So I'm already limiting it from the outset to people who read me and would likely already be part of my community. Now, some might say that's really limiting, like I should be going out and pounding the pavement and knocking on the doors of writing conferences or MFA programs or what have you, the people who might be interested in my audience, but I have other things to do. And I'm not that interested in drumming up the business, but if there are people already subscribing to me who want to advertise, then I welcome that. Kayleen says this is all new to her, and she just appreciates the information. Cecilia says Kobo has an affiliate program through Rakuten Linkshare. I didn't know that. That's excellent. So for those of you who are Kobo, especially in Canada, I think that would probably be a popular affiliate marketing option. Or if you're international, look for Rakuten Linkshare. Thank you for that, Cecilia. Cecilia adds, it sounds like, Cecilia, you've got some expertise in Google AdSense. She says one negative there is that they won't run on any page that has adult content. So anything about sexual health or breast cancer or it sounds like that won't work, which is too bad. Stan says, for an email newsletter, is it better to compensate the affiliate with a one-time commission rather than an ongoing commission? In my affiliate program, it's a one-time commission, $15 for the subscriber, and that's it. I know there are some other newsletters, or not newsletters, there are some other affiliate programs that offer an ongoing commission, and it's usually for subscription-based services. So for example, many, many years ago, I was an affiliate. Let me go to the affiliate slide so we can match here. I was an affiliate for Teachable, which is an online course platform. So if you were going to teach online courses and you didn't want to figure out all of the tech yourself or set it up on your own site, you could use Teachable to host the class. I still recommend it. I'm no longer an affiliate, aside from these like kind of ancient affiliate income checks I get, but they do pay affiliates ongoing commission if the customer that you referred is still paying them. So I've still got, drips and drabs of that coming in many, many, many years later. So those sorts of arrangements can be particularly beneficial when you are the affiliate, but I wouldn't be able, well, I guess I could. I mean, if I were able to track the affiliate, if that person renewed and then pay another 15, I guess I could do that, but it's too early, I think, in the process for me to really go to such lengths. So far, full disclosure, I've only had one affiliate sale through the new program that I've launched. And there's only, in fact, I think I have about 50 affiliates currently. And it's only one out of the 50 who's even sent me a visit. So it's pretty slow going. And the technology itself costs me $50 a month at my current level of service. So pretty soon I may be paying more to maintain the affiliate program than it brings in. And if that happens after the first year, I will likely kill it. All right, so back to the questions. And someone is anonymously asking, how do you get classified ads? And how do you screen out the questionable people? Well, I think, like, if I go back to Anne Friedman for a second, no relation, by the way, I believe she has some sort of form set up. It might be a Google form, for example. And so people fill out the form or they do whatever it is they need to do, and then they have to submit payment. So the classifieds just don't appear out of thin air. Like, she sees who wants to place it, she has to approve it, she has to, and then the payment has to come in as well. So you have plenty of opportunities as the newsletter owner to say no, or this isn't a good fit, or you didn't pay me, for example. I didn't have any trouble at all with inappropriate people wanting to place a classified. I mean, there were some people who I didn't think were going to have success with the classified, and I told them so. But it's very unlikely you're going to have a spam issue if people have to pay to appear. David says, other than Pat Flynn, is there another source for learning the best way to use affiliates and other affiliate programs? I'm not familiar with anyone else other than Pat Flynn. That's the name in that area. I tend to learn more by watching people who are like me use these tools. Like I notice when people use these things really well, when they catch my attention and I'm impressed or I admire what they're doing. So rather than go straight to those like huge industry leaders, you might, take a look at who's around you, who you follow, and what are they doing that it looks like it makes like sense to you. All right, so I'm going to go back to just the end here and mention, I'm going to go to Facebook and check for questions there. But before I do, I'll just mention some of the online classes that are coming up. In terms of paid classes coming up, there are 2 this week. I've got Jenny Nash talking about the inside outline, which would be great for anyone planning for NaNoWriMo, FYI. And the day after that, I'm going to be doing a class with Writer's Digest on how to blog meaningfully. Sunday business sermon wise, my next one is going to be on Discord. And those who follow my newsletters know I've been, experimenting with Discord lately. So I'm going to share what I've learned and take you on my Discord servers and show you around. Talk about what I think it might be good for. And then in November, I'll be talking about slide presentations, especially in our new Zoom era of online learning. It can be useful, I think, to learn how to put together better slides. So I'll be doing a little bit about that. Okay, so I'm going to go back over to Facebook here, see if there are any questions I should address. Sarah says that Scrivener has a good affiliate program. And I was an affiliate for Scrivener for a short while, and I did earn a little bit through them. I agree. I mean, that software almost sells itself if you are reaching the writing community. And Acuity used to have an affiliate program, she mentions, and I knew about that, but I think you're right, Sarah, that it's gone. Some other affiliate programs that some of you might be curious about, where you get paid nice bounties, hosting companies usually have really luxurious affiliate programs. So like Bluehost or GoDaddy or SiteGround, almost all of them have an affiliate program where if you send them a new hosting customer, you can get like $100 per customer. So they're some of the more generous programs because of the value presented by getting someone on their hosting platform. And I see another question that came in asking if my slide presentation is based on PowerPoint or Keynote. It's based on Keynote, and I am a Mac user. So if you're not a Mac user, it would be pretty hard to get on Keynote. But I would strongly recommend using Keynote. Just that will probably immediately improve your slides if you have access to that software. All right, so I think we've wrapped it up for today. I've ended a little bit early, but I said what I wanted to say. So I hope this was helpful for you if you've been toying with the idea of advertising sponsors or affiliate programs. I think the big thing to be aware of is that it takes a really sizable audience in order to attract advertisers, or it takes a really niche audience that is desirable and that might be otherwise hard to reach. So, it can be difficult with the Facebooks and Amazons out there that offer advertising programs that are click-based. So you have to be able to offer something, usually if you have a small audience, you have to offer something that's very community-oriented or is going to reflect well for the advertiser's brand and association. So try to look for those special qualities that allow you to compete against those bigger players. All right. So thank you, everyone, for joining me this afternoon, and I hope to see you at a future sermon. Bye-bye.